Hello and welcome to Rippa Rambles with me, Jack the Ripper. And I'm going to start off today with the main point of this video, which is the sort of indecisiveness of wargaming. And I'm going to put a lot of points forward here, I think, at least. Some of them may be the same point a couple of times, and you'll have to tell me if I'm being an idiot. But I think there's some valid points amongst what I'm saying, and I look forward to discussing some of this with you, both in the comments, on Discord, and all that sort of good stuff. Now, so the first one I'm going to give you is from a Q&A back at the end of March this year. And someone asked, when can we expect the T95 buff from PC to come on console? Now, if any of you watch my very, very long update video, you'll know that that has just arrived just now. So this was asked in March, end of March. TJ, who I believe at the time was like lead game direction, I don't know, whatever he is, said, don't hold me to this 100%. But that should be coming in the next update. We updated some other tanks, I just don't have the list in front of me. Okay, it's fair enough. And then Jeff, who is the lead bloke, he is, you know, the head game designer person, he said, that sounds right. We look at all the changes that PC does, and we're inheriting and compare them with how tanks in our ecosystem are doing, and then make a call on a per tank basis. This tank gets this doesn't get this, we're going to add this. I think that is on this list, but I don't recall. Now, he is specifically when he says, I think this is on this list, now that is towards the T95. But the interesting bit comes in the fact that the lead game designer is saying, we look at all the changes that PC does, and we're inheriting and compare them with how it works in our ecosystem. And then on a call-by-call basis, on a call-by-tank basis is how he worded it, but a call-by-call, they choose what is worth adding and what isn't. So that means the lead game designer is categorically stating, console does its own thing. We look at what they're doing, we generally follow, but we have different paths in the road. Whenever we come to a junction, we take our own path. Occasionally it happens to be PC's path, but we take our own paths. Right, okay, that makes sense. Then, on June the 19th, we have another one saying, someone said, how much do you watch what PC is doing? Now this one's obviously going to be a much more direct involvement in the question. I believe this was Jeff again who was responding, and he said, we watch everything that PC is doing. It's just that we started off a couple of years worth of server versions behind them, and we've caught up to where we're only a few server versions behind them. That's not true. And the game has grown diverse enough to where server merges are really, really complicated and takes months to do. So it's not like they can release their latest version and we can update it in 2 weeks. It takes about 4 months to update server versions. That team is giant, and they're making changes with every version. Plus, we're working on our changes, and when we have to merge the server code, it's quite complex to do. Now, here comes in another issue. So this is almost... this is not a direct contradiction, but it's getting pretty close. What he's saying here is that they spend months and months and months of dev time copying what PC do. But if I just go back to the previous one in March... we're going to add this, wrong section. Compare them with how tanks in our ecosystem are doing, and we make a call on per tank basis. This tank gets this, but this tank doesn't get this. We're going to add this. Now it seems at that point, if you're copying exactly what PC has done, that seems very inefficient. If you're going to wait until you've done all the work before deciding actually we don't want that bit, well, you're probably not going to get rid of that bit because you've just done all the work to get that bit. So you're sort of predisposing yourself to have what you're going to have. I'm using a lot of, like, almost the verbal equivalent of double negatives here. Where I'm just saying, it's a silly system, in my opinion. Right, let's move up to our most recent one, which was it early? It's last month in September. Since console is set on not following exactly in PC's steps, can we have more constant micro-updates to tank balance rather than waiting for sweeping balance changes, and having unbalanced tanks roam around for ages? For example, the disparity between the 4005 and the 215B183. We'll take a look at those two specific tanks, and again, we're constantly combining our analytics for looking for outliers in other directions, either terrible tanks or too amazing tanks, to see what we can do about it. So he's saying, yet again, that Xbox will do its own thing. So Xbox is going to... he's suggesting that we will learn from the mistakes of PC. We will take things as they need to be for console. That is reiterated throughout this. There's a minor contradiction in the saying, oh yeah, no, we just do it PC, but that's not really contradiction is the wrong word. It's more that they spend a lot of time doing something they may not need to do. So rather than sitting down and evaluating, right, okay, PC did X, Y, and Z. But realistically, Y is never going to work on console. In fact, it's broken on console. In fact, it's broken on PC, and PC are changing it. So let's just do X and Z. We'll leave Y, and we'll replace that with J. We'll give those in. We'll see how that goes. And they've done that sort of thing in the past. And the thing is, this is where I say this kind of gets stupid. So I'm going to go through a few of the changes in the things in more detail. And now, whereas obviously I cover all of these in my update video, and I do it in a lot more detail, but this is not specifically about the change. Now, I forgot to write down the particular patch for this PC, but some of them I can tell you which ones they are. So, for example, I'm going to talk about the IS7, and I'm pretty sure this happened in about patch 9.17 or 9.18. In that patch, they added a new engine. They decreased dispersion during movement by 16%. Decreased dispersion on hull traverse by 16%. Decreased dispersion of turret traverse by 25%. Sorry, during turret traverse. Changed the aiming time from 3.1 to 2.9. And changed the health pool from 2,150 to 2,400. So that's what they did to the IS7 because they said it needed it because it felt so underpowered on PC compared to things like the Japanese heavies and the upgraded mouse. Okay. Which I think they were part of the same patch. But yeah, it felt underpowered. So they decided that that was worth doing. So what did they do on console? And what was equivalently a similar patch? They took the health from 1,720 to 1,920. Right. They took the turret health up a little bit to 480. Okay, that's nice. That means we do now have the combined... I think that combines to 2,400, and that's a nice little change. But what else did they do? Did they decrease the dispersion during movement? No. Did they decrease dispersion during hull traverse? No. Did they decrease dispersion during turret traverse? No. But they dropped the aim time. That's literally the most useless one of those things. So the issue the IS7 has is it's great at side scraping, right? Now, the issue you have when you're trying to... it's also quite good with it. It's got a very good turret. So that means you want to do one of two things. You want to pop out or you want to side scrape. Now, if you've got a side scrape out, you're going to have to sit there for an extended period of time. If you're having to reverse and move your turret to get the shot off, if the bloom is less, then that makes it far easier to use. So why didn't they do that? It's proven, and it's a popular decision on PC. It's not deemed overpowered. It's considered a good move, and even most people still say, even now, it's still a little bit underpowered compared to most of the other heavies. But they didn't do it. Why? Because Xbox picks and chooses. Right, okay, fair point. You decided that you don't think the IS7 is relatively good on console. It doesn't seem to have some of the same underpowered feelings it does on PC. I believe most people think it does, but some people obviously don't. Maybe their statistics show otherwise. So okay, they pick and chose. That I can live with that. Then we move on to the E5. And again, this was about the same sort of time, about 9.17? Somewhere between 9.17 and 9.2. On PC, they reduced the armor thickness of the commander's cupola. Well, okay, we had that. But I think a far more important one was they reduced the thickness of the side armor in the area behind the front drive wheel from 254 to 76.2. That is massive. And I've got Tanks GG up in front of me. And I'm specifically not showing this specifically on screen because otherwise, like in the update video, I wanted to do a podcast of it because it was so long. But because of the fact that I'm talking about things on screen, which are, I'm saying, okay, here's the thing. I couldn't end up doing it because that wouldn't work. So here I have to speak through everything. So apologies, that will make this a little bit more wordy. But it also allows people who don't have the time to watch the video or don't just have more interest in the podcast. So, here, what it is there's a little area near the top of the drive wheel. And there's an area behind it where there's the sort of place where a lot of people are going to shoot at. So if you're shooting at this tank from the side, say someone in E5 pokes a little bit too much. That's the sort of place you're going to aim. Or if they're coming at you and you're aiming at their front track, that's the sort of place you're going to aim. It's got 254mm behind, plus the 20mm of the track and drive wheel, giving it a total of 280mm. Most things aren't going to pen. They're more often not just going to get eaten by the tracks. We update to 9.2, Same area, 97 equivalent. Now, don't get me wrong, you aim a couple millimetres too far, it's 850 equivalent. But that one little area, 97.3 equivalent, 97.4. There's that nice little kind of soft bit now, just behind the drive wheel. That makes sense. If that's where you're shooting, that's where you do damage. But again, can't hold it against them. I think that that's a very important change that they should have made. And I think the reason for it not being made is because it punishes people who are not as good at the game. It's an opinion that I hold to believe that I believe to be true. So you'll find if people accidentally go a little bit too far out, they put their nose forward, or they go in the wargaming suggested diamond position to go poke a corner, you're going to get penned through that drive wheel. Unless, say, that drive wheel has more armor than most heavy tanks, at which point you probably won't. So therein lies a big problem. But it's their choice. Can't really say too much about that sort of thing. It's pick and choose, right? So they pick and choose, so I can have no real issues with that. So why is it then that we didn't have that with the mouse? So the mouse has gone through 3 versions in a very short time on PC. So in update 9.17, it was the mouse that we all knew as of about 2 weeks ago. The into 3000 health, the aim time, dispersion, all that of what it was, the armor that we knew it was. It has no weak spots, really. In the great scheme of things, it had the the cheeks and the lower plate. Then in 9.19, they updated it. They gave it a substantially better rate of fire, nearly increasing the rate of fire by 1. They improved the accuracy. They also improved the dispersion during movement, traverse, and turret traverse. That's a lot of very good changes. I think they didn't really do too much else to the gun. But they also increased the armor, and they also increased the health pool to 3200. Now, PC did this. PC went, okay, I'm sorry guys, we went too far. And then next patch in 9.20, the rate of fire took a nerf, again, dropping it down by half a round per minute. The health pool went back down to 3000, but that was it. Generally speaking, it still was overpowered, but they made it a little less overpowered. They made the DPM a bit worse, they made the health a little bit worse, so it can no longer dish out as much damage and it can no longer take as much damage. But obviously it's still got ridiculously overpowered armor that you realistically need heat to penetrate no matter what. That's not great. So the question herein lies, why did they not pick and choose? Or, why did they not actually follow PC? Because they did neither. In the great scheme of things, they took the worst of what PC did, that PC have essentially openly admitted via subtraction of some of the changes, that it was wrong. If PC had thought that those changes were right and that they were good changes, they would have kept them. They wouldn't have changed it and nerfed it. But not console. Oh no. Console just goes on and gives you some form of like heavy tank thing that is largely the broken thing. I'm just going to double check that I'm not talking complete bollocks here. Now, I don't think they changed the health. No, they didn't. But they did change the accuracy. They did change the aim time, which I don't think PC actually did get, did they? 2.3. Oh, no, they did. But ours was 2.9, theirs was 2.3. So it's odd that ours was so high to start with. So I don't know why ours was so high to start with. Shot dispersion during turret rotation as well has been reduced. So in the great scheme of things, they've not done anything. They've sort of picked and choosed, but in useless ways. So I don't see what they're doing here. This makes no sense. Why have you chosen to keep the rate of fire? So I'm looking at this, and they appear to have kept. So they've kept the rate of fire the same. Right. Why? PC admitted it needs a buff. Not as much as they gave it, but it needs a buff. But whatever. That's within your own choice of changes to make within this scope of your limits. Aim time. Okay, ours was ridiculously high anyway, so no, that makes sense. Accuracy. No, again, that's okay. But then, when almost everyone on PC complains, and I'm pretty sure the PC devs have admitted they need to rebalance the mouse's armor, why have you kept that? And so actually, I think I've probably worded this quite badly, and I'm aware that up to this point it probably sounds like I've got this a bit wrong. It's the way they pick and choose, I suppose, is a better thing. It's the fact that so they say, oh yeah, we don't follow PC, we make our own decisions, but then they follow PC on the stuff that they shouldn't follow PC on, and it makes no sense. So I've briefly just covered the mouse. Now let's get on to the Type 5. So in 9.17, the... Wait, hang on, not 9.17. Yes, no, I did mean 9.17. 9.17, it was the Type 5 that we used to know. So it's got 260 across the front, full of that front section. Those little angled back side plates are 210. And that's it. So you've got your weak spots are on the side. If they angle a little bit too much, you can just pen those for the lols. But that's too broken. So introducing 9.18, where the hatch gets a buff. It's made slightly better angled, and so it just bounces everything now. Okay, well, what about the front? Well, they up the entire front to 270mm. Even the angled back bit. So now, if they angle towards you, it doesn't get any weaker. So they've removed all the weak spots off it. What do PC then do? They then add some barely contemplatable as weak spots. There's two areas, the two hatches at the front that are slightly lower. Now, I'd love to say that the console has this, but I can't tell you because our armor viewer isn't that specific. My feeling is that we have the full 270 version. That we have the version where it is entirely 270mm at the front. And that's daft. Like, it's just daft. But what are you going to do? That's the point. Why are they following it? And then if you actually go to the actual tank then... Right, so let's go on, let me get this up in front of me. Go Type 5. There we go. So on ours, we have new package with a new gun, new engine, more turret armor, more hull armor, and the reverse speed goes up. Right, okay. So let's get the stats on the changes for PC. So PC, they added a new gun. Right, so we can't really compare that. So did they put a new engine in? No, they did not. So there's no new engine. So that is a console difference. Oh, wait, no, I'm on about... Sorry, it's not a new engine. Sorry, that's my mistake. That's a new package, but it's the same engine. Yeah, that's my mistake. Apologies. But they did add their own version of this HE cannon. The 15cm howitzer is a very bizarre one. Now, on PC, there's a lot of complaints because the premium round, same pen, but more damage. That's kind of dumb. So what did console do? They gave it heat. Yes, because that is clever. The response to giving a tank more damage with a low pen round, yeah, that's a bit broken. Let's give it heat. Something that's going to guarantee penetrations most of the time and do outrageous amounts of damage. Absolute genius. Unbelievably clever, you guys. I'm jealous of your ability to contemplate these things. And so this is pretty much my point. There's this very bizarre concept that console are doing. And I think this is going to all harken back to a point I made in my article a while ago. That I wrote for... I did one of my original Rambles videos was on it. And the video that... Not video, sorry. The article I did for the Reader's Status Report. Where there's this... like, almost design fix for console to be focused around doing stuff for the so-called filthy casual. I use that term as the same way we are called console peasants. You know, I'm sure they embrace it as much as we do, although they don't know being called it. I don't get it, basically. It's not good for the game. So you create this system where they're encouraging people to not have to work for things. They're not encouraging people to have to improve. So it used to be someone jumps on PC, someone jumps into a Type 5, or jumped into it, they'd get punished if they did things wrong. You don't angle your turret, you're going to get penned through. Sorry, if you don't angle your hull in the right way, you're going to get penned through the side skirts. It's not skirts, side plates. It is what it is. That's a pretty simple concept. I don't see a problem with that. Nah, I can't have that. Too many people get penned. Right, okay, so they buffed the side bit. Okay, well, now you've got nowhere to shoot it unless you use premium. Okay, well, aim for those weak spots. Yeah, but those weak spots are still higher than the average penetration at that tier for a lot of tanks. So, no, you still need heat. Again, that's stupid. I can't. They need to have proper weak spots. There's a simple point there. That goes to both PC and Xbox. But I don't think Xbox has any weak spots. I think they are full 270 all around the front, the same way PC was. So I don't think they've chosen on that one. I think they've just copied. And then with the mouse, there's no reason to have done what they've done. There's no one who's been saying the mouse is woefully underpowered. They've been saying it's a bit shit, but it's not underpowered. And there's a crucial difference in that. Like, something could be a bit underpowered, but not be that shit. I would argue there's points to be made for the, is it 113, the tier 10? To say that's arguably a little bit underpowered. It doesn't have enough going for it to really, you know, make it have its own thing that pops. Everything's got something that goes for it. That's got, you know, it's a bit of everything, but it's not enough of a bit of everything because the E5 does a bit of everything better. Right, okay, well, is it shit then, if it's a bit underpowered? No, not really. I mean, it's still a good tank. It's just, it's a bit underpowered. Like, it could be more powerful and be balanced still. Right, okay, and that's where I'm kind of drawing the line of definition. There was no one saying that the mouse was underpowered. Because situationally, it was overpowered, no matter who you're playing against. Situationally, the Type 5 was quite overpowered, no matter who you're playing against. But they buffed them. And they buffed them in ways that had already been described as overpowered and broken and stupid and wrong and poor. So I don't understand why they've done it. It makes no sense to me. And as you may be able to tell by a little bit of my occasional slight slurring of words, I'm getting quite tired. I've had a very, very messed up sleep schedule, so apologies for that. But that is probably where I'm going to have to start calling this one. So it's one of my shortest ever Rippa Rambles. Probably for the best, because we'll see. I plan on doing some talks with a few people about similar sort of things, going into far more depth, which would be more podcast-based. But of course, I will put some form of video feed up. So look out for that in future. I plan on doing at least a couple of episodes with Deco Noir, good friend of mine, who I get to me and him have very long conversations about things that we hate about the game and how we would do them differently. But of course, we also talk about the things that we love in the game and how we'd like to see the things we hate turn into the things we love. I think everyone here watching this video, especially if you're watching this sort of video, you have a passion for the game and you want to see it rewarded. And it's not fair to be punished for it, because that is essentially what's happening. You want to learn mediums, and so the guy who wants to not have to learn how to play, how to not get any better, he gets rewarded. And that just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. And frankly, it just seems like a way to lose customers. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed my ramblings. And as always, I'll see you on the battlefield.